Blog Talk Radio.
Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 4 years we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews. And we have a great show today. We're meeting with author Danny Lyon. The color of my underwear is blue. And according to Danny Lyon, the color of my underwear is blue. Success is a one-way street, and the only direction you should take is forward. And that's coming up on segment 2 of Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 4 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get inside tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Check out our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. Get 3 months of free advertising when you sign up for our 1-year package. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 4 years we've been asking the franchipreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews. As we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with author Danny Lyon. The color of my underwear is blue. And according to Danny Lyon, the color of my underwear is blue. Success is a one-way street, and the only direction you should take is forward. And that's coming up on segment 2 of Franchise Interviews. And here's a little more information Danny asks for his book. How many of you would like more success? How many of you would like success faster? Anybody not? Well, you've come to the right place. My name is Danny Lyon, and the color of my underwear is blue. And I believe Danny starts a lot of his presentations and seminars stating that the color of his underwear is blue, got a welcoming 100% participation and not holding back. The book is fantastic. I've highlighted it in like 50 places up to this point. It was one that I found this morning. It says, Danny Diamond Success Tip. To maximize people, leverage through your network. Really, to maximize anything on your road to success, you have to grab a bat and come to the plate swinging. How true is that? It's hard to get a hit if you never leave the dugout. And if you come to the plate, it's hard to get a hit if you never take the bat to the shoulder. Swing, bat, a swing. You don't need to hit a home run. Those that think you do, and those that swing for the fence strike out a lot. Many have never seen first base. You just need to swing. Swing without being embarrassed or worrying about striking out. I mean, we talk a lot about, on the show in the last 4 years, the fear of failure. The hits will come. Your coaches, your network will help you hit better and better each time you're up. But they can't make you step up to the plate. You have to do that. And that's fantastic. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to have Danny on the show today. We've been talking about franchising for the last 4.5 years. You really need to have a network. And Don and I frequently mention that ask as many people as possible for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help in this whole process. Today you have franchise consultants, you have accountants, you have franchise attorneys, which is certainly necessary. Family, friends, go to franchise shows. Just, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I frequently joke with my students, I wish my first 4 years of college, I was always one of those guys that was kind of afraid to ask a question. And I really regret that in this part of my life because I had so many of them, and don't be one of those people. I'm certainly not one of those people today, but, I wish back then at that time that I did ask more questions, I think a lot of people, I find that people are very willing to help. So it's going to be an interesting and different kind of show today, very important. Coming up next week, we've been talking about this one. We're meeting with Jeff Jervik, and Jeff has got a great story. He's been involved in franchising for quite some time. President and CEO of Fitness Together Franchise Holdings, Inc., Jervik is a franchise industry maven, which ultimately brought him to his current position, which he's held since 2008. He's the head of the world's largest wellness company, which include Fitness Together and Elements Therapeutic Massage. Before this position, he had a rather different route in franchising. He was selling pizza and he was selling donuts. So this is a kind of a little difference. And there's a whole story behind it as well. So Jervik's career began as an hourly employee selling pizza at Pizza Hut. And I love those stories. I've always been inspired by those stories of someone who perhaps got their start in a McDonald's or a Burger King or wherever it may be, as an hourly employee, and today they own 15, 20 franchises, and I always say that could only happen in America, and a lot of times it can only happen through franchising. So one of the, many reasons we love franchising at Franchise Interviews. So anyway, he was working for a number of different places, pizza and things like that, and got involved in Krispy Kreme. It was 3 years later when Jervik came back to the realization that despite the temporary satisfaction of pizza or donut might bring for someone. He wasn't changing anyone's life. He wanted to help people, which brought him to the wellness industry, with fitness together and elements. Helping people lose weight or relieve pain would actually better people's lives, he concluded. With over 2 decades in the franchise industry, which is important, Jervik is a polished expert in the field despite making a complete industry change from pizza to wellness. And that's going to be a very, very interesting show. So we're definitely looking forward to that one. And kind of keeping things in sync with that particular show, Don and I have been talking about having like particular months where we focus on certain industries, and we're still kind of on the fence about that one. But the following week we tentatively reserved, Live to be Healthy, Senior Fitness. Again, along the lines of being in the health and fitness industry, Live to be Healthy, Senior Fitness seeks to inspire older generations to live longer, healthier lives. Our company has been at the forefront of the senior fitness movement since 2008, working with residents of all shapes and ability levels. The Live to be Healthy Senior Fitness team has witnessed miraculous social and physical benefits for elder care residents. We're proud to bring senior fitness services to residential communities, allowing them to support a healthier lifestyle for residents. I was happy to see this come up. When I first got involved in franchising back in 1999, I did what's called like a feasibility analysis. When I was going for my post-MBA, and focusing a lot on the like senior care franchise industry. I thought it was a fantastic industry, like many other people, of course. And if you look, people, of course, living longer, and in today's world, there's of course a need or demand to have someone, of course, maybe look after whether it's a grandparent or a parent, whatever it may be. But I'm starting to see some new types of services that are directed more towards the senior industry, and this is just an incredible industry when you look at the demographics and the numbers. It says, driven by a passion to create a better senior housing experience, Live to be Healthy, senior fitness owner Corey Sesba, and forgive me, Corey, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, designed the program to coax sedentary residents into enjoyable, sociable opportunities to stretch limbs and joints, as well as stretch individual comfort levels in new social situations. The result is an increased strength and endurance, as evidenced by quarterly physical tests, as well as increased emotional resilience and sociability. Our services complement a community's activities director gatherings by creating additional socialization opportunities for seniors while building residents' balance, mobility, flexibility, and strength. A little bit about the company history here. Since founded by sports professional Corey Sesba, the company has been steadily growing around the United States since 2008 in order to bring Live to be Healthy senior fitness to the USA's growing population of seniors. The company adopted a franchise business model in 2010. In 2011, Corey brought a team of partners to ensure that the company's rapid growth continues as smoothly. And speaking of the senior care industry, it's probably a good segue to make a big announcement on franchise interviews that you can now hear us on live365.com. And what's a little different about live365.com is a lot of the shows, of course, are pre-recorded. And what we've decided to do is, because we've done so many shows up to this point, we've categorized our shows. So, for example, when you go there today, you can actually hear 6 different interviews from 6 different senior care franchises. So, we know we love that industry. Perhaps you may love that industry and say, wow, what a great industry. I think I'd like to get into something like that. Well, here's the opportunity to hear from 6 different senior care franchises. And a lot of them, of course, again, they're going after the same market, but a little different in services. And, you just want to find the one that's the best match for you. So, again, we're looking forward to working with live365.com, and, again, we're going to categorize a lot of our shows. Several days ago, we were doing pizza franchises. I think we've done probably about 4 or 5 up to this point. And, you could hear from 4 or 5 different pizza franchises. And, again, there's so many out there. How do you know which one to choose from, So, if you have 4 or 5 hours to set aside, listen to them. I mean, they're really fantastic. So we're looking forward to working with our new friends at Live 365 and, of course, our friends at Blog Talk Radio. And Franchise Interviews has now been syndicated on probably like a dozen different other Internet websites up to this point. So you can kind of hear us all over the place. Also, franchiseworldradio.com. I always forget to announce that one. Our last show was very interesting and a bit different. We were meeting with Derry Sorbonne, and Derry had a great story. It was one of those entrepreneurial studies that I just love. Tasty Image. So Tasty Image began in mid-2003 in Jupiter, Florida. After becoming a part-time affiliate to sell printed chocolates, Derry Sorbonne saw rather quickly that there was income waiting to happen with the chocolate industry. This is a great story. It kind of reminds me of how I got involved in franchising. I think Derry, she went to this is like a business opportunity kind of show. And if you ever get a chance to go to these franchise shows or, it's a business opportunity show, and again, there is a difference between both, they're really wonderful. I went to my first franchise show at the Jacob Javits Center. I think this was back in, it was 98 or 99. And I was there all day. It was really amazing, and that's where the whole franchise thing kind of hit me, because I said, wow, here's somebody who's created this system or this method of doing business, and all you have to do is if you can follow the system, and again, that's not for everyone, you can become successful, and that just excited me for some reason. I said, wow, what a great concept. I was always familiar with franchising, but I always thought that franchising was only like things like McDonald's and, Burger King and Pizza Hut, and found out that I was very off. At that time, I think there was about 70 industries. I think we're up to about 80 or 85 different industries today. And then within those industries, there's a lot of subcategories as well. So there's just so much to choose from out there. So Derry found this, she saw a little demo on this chocolate kind of concept, and I was able to get some testimonials that I wanted to share. I was on their website this morning, and I was just very impressed with that particular show. If you missed the show, of course, you can go back and listen to the show again because, of course, we record all the shows, and I think you'll be very pleased. Here's a thing that says Our Clients Love Us page on the Tasty Image website. And again, it's tastyimage.com. So it says, Dear Jana, thank you for 1,000 times over for attending our holiday party last night. Everyone truly loved your product. Everyone here at work is talking about the lollipops. Must have eaten theirs already. We really like chocolate in this office. Take care. Thanks again. Dana Bertotti. Here's another one. I've used Tasty Image on numerous occasions. They literally create images of success and always inspire compliments as an innovative branding item. It really helps establish my company in the minds of my clients, and it tastes good too. What I loved most about this particular concept is I always love if you have the opportunity of selling to multiple streams, like if you can sell to consumers and if you can sell to businesses. We've seen that with like places like, let's say, like a cartridge world, where you sell like a recycle toner and things like that. And with this particular opportunity, you have that option. Let's see. Here's another one here. It says, just wanted to say thank you, Derry, who we had on the show last week, and the staff this past Saturday for my daughter, Kennedy's birthday. She and friends had a lot of fun and loved eating the treats. I'm sure we'll be seeing you again. Here's another interesting one. It says, once in a while, you'll run into a company that gets it. You and your people are absolutely in that category. I called yesterday because I seen your product and was given your name by Ellen Weiss. I was stuck for an anniversary gift for my wife and thought a chocolate picture would do the trick. So I called you yesterday afternoon. You made it so easy to get this done and had it to me by 11 a.m. by FedEx. It was a pleasure. I even ate one of the business cards to test it. So it was another interesting one on business cards. Let me see if I can find it here. I thought I saw it on YouTube. Oh, this was very clever.
speaking of the consumer market. Got a family reunion coming up. Surprise, everyone with edible images on chocolate for Grandma and Grandpa. How about an edible image of all the grandkids on a chocolate portrait? And for all the grandkids, a sweet photo on chocolate lollipops. Wow, it's just very clever. I mean, I can see why Derry was so inspired. You know, it's just like kind of like the light bulb went off when she saw this, and she saw like the big picture of what this can actually become. So I'm expecting great things from this franchise opportunity, and I love having like the newer concepts on the show. But a lot of times we'll have we have the biggest of big shows on franchise interviews, and we have a lot of like new and exciting concepts as well. And those are always fun too for me because I always say, oh, maybe this will be the next McDonald's or Subway. So we'll watch, and we'll have Derry back on the show. Right now, you're going to hear a clip from Carol Mercurio, who's a franchise consultant for Matchpoint. And speaking of networking, which again we're going to be talking with Danny on segment 2, she's talking about networking and pretend you're at a party. And is the topic of status important to you? Again, there's so many different things you can get into in franchising. So if you were at a party, would you be proud to say, I work or I own a Subway or I own a Burger King or, there's even services out there where you can pick up I think it's dog poop. So there's just so many things out there. Are you going to be proud to say that? So listen to what Carol says. This comes from our Great Quotes in Franchising podcast. And
hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. Today's podcast is being brought to you by Diamond Financial Services. And Diamond Financial is the nation's #1 source for business loans with over 50 years of combined experience. Financing solutions can be applied to business acquisitions, franchise purchasing or startups, building and leasehold improvements or expansions, equipment purchases, debt restructuring, working capital, franchise fees, or buying out of partners. Today's great quote in franchising comes from Carol Mercurio of Matchpoint. And Carol had excellent advice to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise. And one of the things that they should consider is image. Listen to what Carol said. I thought it was brilliant.
You want to talk a little bit about status?
Yeah, it's one of my favorites because, a lot of the franchising concepts are not high status.
Right.
If you look at some of these categories, and then there's others, where you'll find there's more of an executive model. And that becomes an issue with people depending on what their background and experience is and what are you willing to give up to have a business on your own and how important is status to you. And the way I break it down is if you were at a neighbor's for dinner and somebody asked you what you did for a living, how important is your answer?
That's interesting.
And for some people, it's very important. And when you go through this process with a lot of people, it really comes down to what's more important, what's on your business card or what's on your deposit slip.
Right.
And, I always use the example of, actually I would say the most common answer to things that people wouldn't do that are relative to status is I wouldn't pick up garbage.
Right.
It's kind of an interesting answer because if you look at that industry of the trash industry or garbage industry, there isn't probably one person out there that doesn't have trash.
Exactly.
Or doesn't know somebody that has trash.
Right, absolutely.
So, you have to think about what are you willing to do if the industry is probably one of the biggest and best industries that everybody needs. It's recession-resistant, internet-proof. That would be trash. And, of course, I always throw this little bit of humor into this equation here that my husband's in the trash business and has been for many, many years. And I live in New Jersey with an Italian last name, so I suppose.
There you go, stereotype.
Be very careful how you deal with me. But, of course, if they don't get that humor, it's not very funny. But what you really want to think about is, how do you feel about negotiating deals with CEOs or presidents of companies, or are you okay with dealing with, the everyday consumer, or dealing directly to the consumer, or should it be business to business? Because there are different franchises that fit into those categories, or even if you look at retail, so that it may not be visible to the consumer, but there are retail businesses that will do business to business, deal with other business owners, as well as the consumer, which is a major plus because you have two ends of dealing with business rather than being limited to one. But you really have to determine, what is it? If you want a high-status business, then that will put me in a direction that would be very different than a Dunkin' Donuts, for example.
Right.
Although some people would put some of these food concepts into high status. I'm not sure why, but I do believe that people's perception of food is a higher status.
That's interesting.
But there are certainly a lot of things you can do that go outside food that, you can be a consultant in different areas that would be more executive-type models, or with a lot of the franchises, if you're looking for an executive-type model, it may be in a traditional type of business, but you become the manager of that business as opposed to getting your hands dirty every day. So you can still develop that into more of an executive model.
Right.
And, what kind of products or services do you want to offer your public? Because that may limit some of the things that you look at if you shy away from certain industries.
Interesting.
But it is something that you really want to think about, how important is status. And, I always use the household cleaning industry as an example of that as well. It's a very big business today. It's a business that's changed through the years because of dual-income families, that it almost becomes a necessity rather than a luxury. But a lot of people will be embarrassed to say that I clean toilets for a living.
Right.
And the perfect example in that industry, when you look at the business model, it's not about cleaning toilets at all, because that's not what you do. Right. It's about sales, marketing, and management.
Exactly.
So, again, you're looking at what is the business model itself. So put the industry aside, look at the model, and how is that going to work in your community.
Such a good question, though, Carol.
It really is.
Sometimes everything they're thinking about with investing in a business is when you tell people at a party, what do you do? I mean, that's a great question. People don't want to be
It is a great question.
And
if you really think about it, I would say, the common denominator with people when you have a discussion is, what do you do for a living? And when I tell people I'm self-employed, it doesn't matter what I do. I think they're impressed with the fact that I own my own business. So I think business ownership in itself brings a certain level of prestige, because
you can actually hear that whole podcast with Carol if you go to franchiseinterviews.com and then go to the banner and click the Great Quotes in Franchising podcast. So why don't we do this? Well, let's take a quick break. I see our guest Danny has called in, and we'll be right back with more Franchise Interviews.
Okay, you've got my attention.
It's a rare event in the world of franchising when an opportunity comes your way that can and will thrive in almost any economic environment. It's here, and its name is Big Mouth Advertising.
Big Mouth.
BMA is a leader in the exciting world of mobile media advertising. Why is mobile media advertising able to defy the economic cycles? The answer is obvious. In times of economic weakness, advertising is crucial for survival as the consumer dollar is scarce and the competition fierce. What is mobile media? It's the newest and fastest growing segment in the advertising world. Mobile media brings the message directly to the consumer. Mobile media goes to the consumer in traffic, where he eats and where he plays. It quite simply cannot be turned off or thrown out. And when you join the Big Mouth team as a franchisee, you are joining the best. The Big Mouth advantage is simple and successful. We invest in a strong infrastructure and in great people. As a franchisee, you have access to this entire system, including telemarketing, sales maximization, general and administrative support, design and creative services, even billing and collection services. All you need is a mobile media vehicle, a driver, and the willingness to create a financially sound and limitless business for yourself. There are no long-term leases to sign, no expensive build-outs, no office personnel to hire. You will be part of the Big Mouth advertising community and share its entire website and reception services, as well as its complete back-office services. This virtual office guarantees you the freedom to close those sales that will make you a success. We are so proud of our successes that we have voluntarily disclosed our revenue statements. Now, how many other franchises are doing that? Even in these historically rough financial times, big mouth advertising has become a dominant force in the mobile media industry. Join the Big Mouth team and take the first step toward financial freedom. Please call Ron at 888-98-GO-BIG. That's 888-98-GO-BIG. Big Mouth!
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 4 years we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews. And as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with author Danny Lyon. The color of my underwear is blue. And according to Danny Lyon, the color of my underwear is blue. Success is a one-way street, and the only direction you should take is forward. Hey, Danny, how you doing today? Good morning.
Good morning, Marty. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Danny. I feel like I know you. I always feel like I know an author after I read their book. So it's I know you, but you don't actually know me. So it's great. And congratulations on the book, by the way. It really is fantastic.
Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure. I thought we could start off. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background and experience, Danny. I thought that would be a good place to start.
Okay. Well, I was brought up in a very small town of 200 people. And as I got past the high school age, I got into telecommunications with the provincial telephone company up here in Alberta, Canada. And I spent about 20 years working in telecommunications all over the U.S. And overseas. Lived in Thailand for 4 years. And when we finished that gig, we came back and decided to start a business. We were going to get into franchising because we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. And I was most experienced with mailboxes, etc. franchise. We've used them a lot in our travels. So that's the one we chose. And we came back to my hometown, or near my hometown, a little bit bigger community called Lethbridge, Alberta. And we opened up our store in 1996. And then since that, we've expanded. We've bought the territories, area franchises they're called. And we've expanded helping people to get into business for themselves. So right now we have about 151 stores that we help and support and that are in our territories between Alberta and Ontario.
That's fantastic. So you're no stranger to franchising, that's for sure.
Nope, been doing it a long time. And also have sat on the Prairie Regional Board for the Canadian Franchise Association, so I have great contacts in a lot of different franchise systems, and I attend the International Franchise Association conventions and things like that. So I've got lots of contacts and lots of experience in franchising.
That's fantastic. So why did you write the book, Danny? What sparked your interest in writing this book?
Well, I think everybody should write a book. I think everybody's got a book inside them.
I agree with you.
It's a desire. If you're having general conversations with people, almost there's a large majority of the people around your table when you're talking about it that have always wanted to do it. And so I was on a Bob Proctor personal development cruise down on the Mexican Riviera, and the opportunity was presented to get published through Bob Proctor's Life Success Publishing. And it was time in my life, I guess, to go ahead and do that. So went through the process, and it was a great one. It was a great experience and learned lots. And it's great to, when you finally have that book in your hand, when it's finally the project's done. And I would recommend it for everyone.
That's fantastic. I would agree with you, Danny. I mean, when you say that, I think everyone has a book in them. I teach for Capital University, and it's amazing how many of my peers' dream is to write a book one day. It's just it always seems to be so common. So I would totally agree with you. For our listeners, can you tell them what the book's about?
The book is about success through networking. So coming from the little town that I came from, it was all about networking. It was about support of everyone else. The neat thing, some of the neatest things were when people that perhaps didn't even really like each other as much, when it was needed for the community, when it was needed to build something like a community hall, everyone pitched together. All that was thrown out the window, and it was all for one. And so I learned a lot about commerce. My family was in business, and of course I worked for some of the businesses on Main Street. I learned about customer service, and I especially learned about networking and utilizing others for support. So the book is on that. Everywhere in my life, all my successes have been from the support of everyone else, from the support of the fellow technicians. When I started traveling in the States, coming from a little town like that, I hadn't been very many places. And so to start flying all over the U.S. was pretty scary, and those guys all helped me. And then from starting a business, right? Even though my parents had been in business for a long time, I hadn't been in my own. And so being part of a franchise system was great because you have a built-in network already, and people that have the experience and have been through what you're about to experience, and you can draw from that. So the book is on success through networking. I try and start each chapter with a story from my history, and then it relates to a point that I'm trying to make in each chapter, a lesson. And I've got the book with exercises all through because I believe that action is the card that trumps everything. And if you can get somebody to actually take some action, there's usually lots of planning and wishing and wanting from people when they're going for their goals and dreams and desires. But if you can get somebody to start taking action, that's when stuff really, really happens.
It's funny you say that because we started our show off this morning with a Danny Diamond success tip about stepping up to the plate, and swinging the bat. I love the Danny Diamond success tips. I thought those were fantastic and very clever, by the way.
Well, good. Thank you. Well, I tell everybody all the time that everything in business relates to baseball. I'm a baseball fan.
Yes.
And so
you can tell.
I try and relate lots of stuff that happens in our businesses and the way that the business owners conduct themselves and stuff. It all relates back to business. But it's very true. The people sitting in the dugout that won't go up and swing are the ones that are planning all the time and wishing and hoping and making goals. But eventually you got to go up there and see if you can hit the ball.
Absolutely. Yeah, well said. And franchising, a lot of times Don and I on this show, Danny, we talk about how it's important to network. We believe that there's a lot of people out there that try to go about this whole thing alone when they're looking for a franchise, and the whole importance of networking. So really, the book satisfies a very big need out there. How do I personally, or how do our listeners create a network themselves?
Well, I think the first thing to realize is there's nothing to create, right? We all have an existing network, and we've had since day one, right? Even when the day you were born in that birthing room, or whether you're born at home or wherever was born, the people around you are automatically on your team that day, and it starts that day and it never ends. All the time, growing up through school, elementary school, junior high, high school, you have a team, you have a network already. What is typically needed is the better awareness of the people who are in your network, right? And sometimes you'll find that you've maybe been hanging out with the wrong people as you're growing up, but you always have the opportunity to change that. So there is an existing network already, and what typically needs to be done is just a better awareness, and then you always want to be growing that network. So we take you through exercises in the first chapter of the book on how to identify that network by going through your family, your list of family and friends, associates, mentors, past and present. And then just kind of becoming aware of how they helped you, or maybe how they hindered you, or what lessons you learned from them, and start identifying how any of those in your current list could relate or could help you with your current goals and dreams and desires and wants and needs. And so most of the time, people don't have to create a list. They've got a network already, create a network. They've got a network already, and it's just a matter they've never looked at it in a way of helping them move forward. Most of the time, our network we think of as a social network, not just social on the internet, but social greetings, social meetings. And so if you go back to business, the top stores, the best performers, are always the best networkers. Yeah, and it's quite incredible. So you mentioned a good point there about people thinking they have to go on their own. One of the reasons for business failure, and the statistics will say, depending who you're getting your statistics from, is anywhere from 50 to 90% of small businesses fail in the first 5 years. And two of the biggest reasons are the owners thinking they know what to do and how to do it, and so therefore doing it on their own, the way that you'd mentioned. And then there's a stage that comes after it's not working where they lose their spirit. And I've seen that many times happen in various different businesses, independent and in franchise. And so there's typically two paths when you're starting a business. It's based on your wants and needs and desires. That's usually the heading down the disaster road. And then there's the one based on the customer's needs, wants, and desires. and that's the one that usually leads to success. And when you're dealing with the customer, when you're totally focused on making the life of the customer better, keeping and satisfying customers, when you're focused on that, and you will allow other people that have been in the business that you're in, whether it's an independent business or franchise, and you will network with them, that's usually the road to success.
Yeah, well said. It reminds me, when I was reading the book, Danny, and everything that you're saying now, I saw an interview with Sylvester Stallone several months ago, and he was talking about when he wrote Rocky and he was getting ready to make the movie. I mean, he used his network. His network was his wife, his father, his brother, his mom. I mean, everyone he knew. He said that no man is an island. And I was thinking about that a lot as I was reading the book, why the movie became so successful. I mean, he didn't have the money at the time, to pay millions of dollars to people to be in the movie, so he just called everyone he knew, including his dog, by the way, to make the movie such a success, and that's what I was thinking about as I was reading the book. What are the three biggest mistakes you see when it comes to networking?
Well, I think that the three biggest mistakes that I see are people just don't network enough. Small business owners get trapped into their business. They get behind the counter. The term shopkeeper or bought themselves a job comes up all the time. So it's a mistake thinking that you know what you're doing and that you don't need any help or input from anyone else, right? If you were on the baseball team, you just made the team, and you want to be one of the top hitters on the team, you would start networking. First of all, you go to batting practice, right? That's like a networking event. And you would start associating with some of the top hitters on the team. Find out what they do. So not networking enough, kind of a cocoon effect. Now, especially when a store starts to struggle or a business starts to struggle, and everything, just like I mentioned in the book, Marty, everything when I say business, because I'm a business guy, but it all relates to personal, because there is really no personal life or business life. There's only life. And so how you are in your business is typically how you are in your personal life as well. And so once a person starts struggling, personally or in business, there becomes a cocoon effect even more, because you don't want to tell people that you're struggling. I mean, right now, we could go down the street and talk to business owners and say, how's it going? And they're going to say, it's going great. And you go, well, 15% to 90% of small businesses fail in the first year. How can it be going great? Come on, what's really going on? Somebody here down the street has to be struggling. So tell us about that, and then you can get some real help. And another big mistake along that cocoon effect is that people think they have to go it alone, where there's just huge help. It's amazing how much help is out there when you finally expose yourself. And then a lot of people don't create or take advantage of networking opportunities when available, or presented. So like in the businesses, host an event in your business, any opportunity to do that. If you're a home-based business and you maybe don't have a place to bring people, then maybe do a co-branding type thing with a retail storefront, where you bring your database and they bring their database, and you kind of have a meeting to show off your wares. But there's Chamber of Commerce events, and there's Business Network International. There's lots of great networking opportunities and networking clubs. And then number three, that's one of the biggest mistakes, is you'll see people networking with the same people at the same level all the time. So an example would be a networking meeting for our franchise, the UPS store. You will see the franchisees, when they come into the networking meeting, they will sit with the same people they sat with the last time. And a lot of times, whatever level sales the store is at, that's kind of who they gravitate to. It's natural, right? Yes. And because you want to talk to people that have the common issues that you do, so you can, roll around in them and justify, as opposed to seeking out. I would like to find out, if I was walking into a room like that, who is the top performer? That's who I want to sit beside. And so people, it's more of a comfort zone to network with the same people at the same level. And whereas if you want to stretch, though, if you want to open up and you really want to grow where you're at today, you need to be around some people at a higher level and let them pass on their ideas and mentor you if that's possible.
Yeah, well said. So what are three things someone today could do to become more effective at networking, Danny, in addition to reading the book?
Yeah, they got to read the book for sure. I'm a fan of social media, so I think if you're not on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and all those, then you should do it. They're great for making announcements, say, in my case, for a book signing or even an interview. So I'll go up on Facebook after this and post where the link is to this interview. So it's great for that. It's great for touching base with people that you maybe haven't had contact for years, and it's good. Now, it doesn't solve everything, because first of all, social media is no longer a fad. It's here to stay, right? It's just too popular. It's not going to go away. So get involved, quit bucking the system, and get on there. And it doesn't solve everything. Eventually, when you're going for your goals and dreams and desires, you can't be fully exposed in social media, right? You can't, especially if you were struggling and you needed help. You're not probably going to tell everybody your financial state on Facebook, So, but for connecting and for getting people in your network and for reminding you of who is in your network and what expertise is there, it's fantastic. And then also, to be more effective, people just have to expose themselves more. We're very closed in, and it's a natural human tendency, especially if there's struggle involved. So, more open. Again, the top stores are the best networkers. They're also the most exposed about their situation. If you have a top performing business that has suddenly hit a roadblock or has happened in their business, they are typically the first ones to expose themselves. Help, I need help. What can be done, and they get the most help first. Whereas people that are maybe not as performing as well in their business and they start to struggle, they get into that cocoon effect. So be more open, expose your needs, wants, goals, desires, and the more you do that, the more help comes because as human beings, we just naturally want to help people. And many times people just say what they think others want to hear instead of being brutally honest and with what they really want and desire. So I got an example for that story. I went to a networking meeting club, and I'd been invited by one of the members to maybe give a little kick in the butt and get them going because they become kind of a social club as opposed to getting a business going. And so after they introduced themselves, I critiqued them on their introductions, and I told them, you guys need to be bringing specials to each other, and you need to be getting up and broadcasting who you are. Some of your people were already sitting down before you finished your introduction. And I said, one thing you should really get up here is expose yourself to each other. You've been in this club for a long time. And tell them how it really is for you, good or bad, and you'll just be amazed how much help comes. So this one lady was chatting at me later, a few months later after I'd been there, and she said that one or two meetings later, she actually stood up and told them how it really was in her home-based business, and that it was a struggle and it wasn't going good, and she ran out of ideas because she'd been trying to do it on her own, and she said the help came that day. People helped her set up networking events, selling events of her own, really networking events and expanding. People bought from her that day. They didn't even know exactly what her business was about because, again, the club had become social. So I find that many times. As soon as you expose yourself, the help just comes immediate. It's just amazing. And another third tip for better networking is be first in being in service. So lots of times when people go to these networking events or they're even networking, let's say, inside their business, they're always looking at reciprocation. So, okay, I'm going to do this for you. What are you going to do for me? And that creates a payback mentality, and that creates struggle because you're focused on then you and what you're going to get back. So if you're first in service and you're concerned about the other person and you're not concerned about what you get back, you're supporting others in your network first and often and with nothing in return, and that's when success comes as opposed to struggle. So when businesses are focused on the money and I need to make money and I have to have money and how do I get it, that's when they seem to struggle the most. When they're totally focused on being service to others and making people's lives better and keeping satisfying customers, as soon as the focus goes to them and off of me, that's when success is imminent. And that's a hard thing to overcome. That's why you need your network for support when you're having any kind of struggle. Maybe sales have dropped in your business. These are slow economic times and stuff. So it's hard not to focus on, I need money, I need money, I need money, I need more sales, I need more sales. So the focus is all inward. And instead you got to get it away from yourself. As long as it's on you, you're going to have struggle. When it's on the other person, the customer, making someone's life better. Look how good it feels when you give somebody a gift without expecting anything in return, right?
True.
And that's why I have that whole chapter on give first, give often, and if you're struggling, just give without anything in return, and success will come out of the blue from many different directions.
Yeah, I agree with that. The title of the book is very clever, Danny. You probably get hundreds of questions. How did you come up with the title of the book? and again, to say something like that, getting in front of whether it's 500 or 1,000 people and saying, hi, my name is Danny Lyon, the color of my underwear is blue, it might be hard for some people. You talk about, being transparent and open and exposing yourself for success. So if it makes people feel uncomfortable to share that much, how do they get past that stage?
Yeah, it can be a challenge, again, because it's human nature is to not tell people that you're financially struggling, either personally or in your business.
Right.
So it takes utilization of the network. Again, you got to be brave, what happens is people see a success, and when let's say we get a business that turns itself around, typically the person finally exposed themselves. They finally came clean. They get the help, and they turn around almost immediately, and then they become one of the biggest mentors and supporters of other people who may be in the same position. So when you're first doing it, it's very difficult to do. But when you think back, even when you're having big decisions as you're growing up, if you're not being true of what you really want to do, what high school you want to go to, or what university you want to go to, it's a real struggle because nobody knows what you're thinking for sure. And so eventually you have to expose it to the family or expose it to family members, and then all of a sudden people have ideas, or I know so-and-so went to the same school, and it branches off from there. So if you go back to the exercises that we do, it's about relating past successes to who was in your network at the time to show that you've been doing it all along anyways, and that you don't have to be scared now because you've exposed yourself other times and people have helped you, right? My first job was in a first real job, I guess. I worked at Damon's General Store for 7 years in my little town, but the first real job was punching a clock at a factory, which I found out immediately that I did not want to do. And I'm back at a networking event in the local lounge in my town and telling the people how miserable I was around the table. And next thing you know, I'm working for the telephone company, all because someone at the table heard what I really wanted to do and didn't like what I was doing. I exposed myself how I was going, and the help came immediately. So I think it's a realization. If people just sat down and looked at their successes, they would see that it's already happening. So this time, right now in your life, don't be afraid. Tell somebody how it really is. And it's not always someone that's necessarily really close, right? That sometimes those are the hardest people to tell. You may just look for somebody that's doing the same business as you, someone that you've maybe had acquaintance with at a networking event, and just say, you know what, I really want to sit down and talk to you because here's what's happening. And you seem to be successful. You look successful. Tell me some of the things that you went through. I can tell everybody in business, everybody that's on the call listening is I love to talk to business owners and ask them about the early years because those are the biggest struggle. And especially if they've been in business 20 years, 30 years now, and they're hugely successful. Tell me about those early years. And there's so much that relates to the struggle that everybody has when they start a business that is fantastic. Because basically, you can draw a lot of information from them and that the struggle is not just you. It's natural, and that you can get out of it a lot sooner if you actually have mentoring help. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's great advice. We have about 2 minutes, Danny. What's the best way our listeners can get more information on the book or get in contact with you? Are there any websites they can go to, any numbers they can call?
Yep, they can go up on the colorofmyunderwearisblue.com. Now, the title of the book is done in the Canadian spelling of color with the U in there. Up in Canada, we seem to have an excess amount of U's, so we like to put them in different words. But they can search on the American spelling as well, COLOR, and it'll get it there. So the colorofmyunderwearisblue.com. All of my contact information is up there, email address. I love to talk about business, so if you go up there and grab my email address and want to, send me a note and talk about it, it's fantastic conversation, because I learn from as much as information that I give out. I can learn as much from the people that I make contact with. I always tell people the franchisees teach me something new every day, and it's like an ongoing education. It's fantastic. So that's the best way. I have a email address. It's on there. It's a little bit long, but it's Dan Lyon at TELUS, TELUS Planet, all one word, telusplanet.net. They can email me anytime, and that's the best way. It's also, the book is available on Amazon.ca for the Canadian listeners, and it's Amazon.com down in the U.S. And just search The Color of My Underwear is Blue when you're up on their websites. Away we go.
That's That's great. I want to thank you again, Danny. You're a wonderful speaker, and thank you again for writing the book. It really is incredible, and I'd love to have you back to continue the conversation.
Anytime. Thanks for having me, Marty.
Thanks again, Danny. You're great. Have a great day.
Yep, bye-bye.
That was fantastic. So what we're going to do is take another quick break, and we'll be right back with more.
Who's helping build America one small business at a time? Franchise Inc., a free consulting service.
For years, Franchise Inc., a national company, has been helping people franchise their business concept and help folks like you own a franchise.
With over 2,500 franchise systems out there, it can be awfully confusing. Don't take chances with your future. At Franchise Inc., we've done the homework for you. We can help match your interests and background with the franchise that's right for you. And we only work with proven franchise systems with a solid reputation and track record of success.
The consultants at Franchise Inc. can help you with your short and long-term wealth strategy.
Give us a call today and we'll send you free our best-selling book, Solving the Puzzle of Owning a Franchise.
Remember, it's not just owning a franchise, but finding the right one for you. Call us at 800-961-0420 for a quick consultation to discuss what's important to you, your business, and your future.
The service is free. The book is free. What do you have to lose? Find the business that's right for you.
Call Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420. That's Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420.
Franchise Interviews. For over 4 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get inside tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Check out our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 4 years we've been asking the franchipreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews. And I want to thank Danny Lyon again, author of The Color My Underwear is Blue. It's a fantastic book, and he's a great guest, so we'd love to have Danny back on the show. Right now you're going to hear from Michael Gerber from our Great Quotes in Franchising podcast on How Do I Want to Be Remembered. This is really fantastic, so enjoy.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. And today's podcast is being brought to you by Diamond Financial Services. And if you're looking for a loan to finance your franchise, simply click the Diamond Financial Services logo below. Today's podcast, you're going to get to hear from a legend in entrepreneurship and franchising, and that's Michael Gerber. And we've had Michael on the show 2 times up to this point, and the first time we had him on the show, Don and I were amazed at the amount of emails we received and listeners, and it was really overwhelming and incredibly fun at the same time. One of the questions that we commonly ask on every show is, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? And naturally, Michael's response was brilliant. So here we go.
Franchising and entrepreneurship? Yeah, well, I think before that, Mike, I think a lot of people listening might be a little surprised that your mom still tells you what to do.
No, that's the problem. My mom has never told me what to do. She inspires me to do things that I never thought about doing.
Absolutely. That's great. That's tremendous. Yeah. What advice would you give to a prospective franchisee looking to buy a franchise, Michael?
Well, first of all, understand what you want. It has less to do with the franchise than it does with you. What is it truly important to you to do? This whole new emergence of the dreaming room, for example, really revolves around the idea that struck me, that this is the age of the new entrepreneur. And the new entrepreneur is very, very much different than the one who preceded him. The new entrepreneur is more interested in a business that has meaning, not just money. So the whole question for the new entrepreneur or the one who wants to buy a franchise is really, so what's the meaning of this? What's the impact of this on the world? When we begin to look at the world and really realize that the world is in dreadful shape, you wonder then how I, in a business of my own, could have some kind of impact that would add value to the world. So I'd begin to look at franchises from that perspective. What's the value of the franchise? Presuming that I'm going to be successful, what is the value? What do I deliver that has value to my customer? What pride do I get from what it is I'm doing? What am I adding of benefit to the world as opposed to subtracting from the world, presuming, again, I'm going to be successful? So the first thing is, what does this company mean? What is the true meaning of this, and what's the impact and import of it? For me in my life, I'm going to die one day, and I'm going to probably die inside my business. And what I'd like to ask myself is, will I be proud of the fact that I devoted the rest of my life to doing this?
Right.
Would I want to say this to people I love? Would I want to say this to my kids? What am I going to say to them when I describe what I've chosen to do with the years of my life that I'm going to do it in? Because, in fact, you're going to spend the rest of your life in this business or in something very much like it. The second thing I would ask, once I've decided that, yes, this is a worthy thing to do for me, a human being, how organized is this thing that I'm going to do? How organized is it? Does it have a truly kick-ass breakthrough system for doing what it needs to do, which is attract people to it as customers, which is convert those people into active customers and paying customers, and ability to convert those customers into clients, meaning they come back again and again and again and again. So I want to build or buy that capability, or I'm going to then need to build it for myself.
Wow, it's a great. We've been asking that question now since we started the show, Michael. We never got such a great response.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, so really, don't jump into anything quickly. Do your due diligence, and that's a good point. I mean, this might be something you've been doing for a long time. Are you going to be proud of telling people this is what you do?
Proud, yeah.
I mean, Marty, you and I have talked about people just can't jump into something that sounds great. They got to
exactly
do
they have to go more deeply into their own motivation.
Right.
And that's the thing that's missing almost all the time. Essentially, the prospective franchisee, the guy, the woman who decides they want to buy a business opportunity, essentially they go out there, and the one who pitches the deal the best gets the deal. And I'm essentially saying it's got to turn around the other way. The one who's going out becomes more thoughtful about what I'm looking for, as opposed to simply going out and looking for a good business to run.
Right, absolutely.
So that right there might be a strong characteristic of a
Those are
That's definitely one of my favorite podcasts from the Great Quotes and Franchising podcast, and I think Michael's in there actually a couple times, so just fantastic. So I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you again next week with another great show. Go to franchiseinterviews.com, go franchise.com, franchisefunding.net, and we'll see everyone next week. Thanks, everyone.